Okay, great. Just refreshing to make sure I get.
Go state by state through these 6 states. Bill Barker tonight.
1 second, guys.
The question at the end of the second Super Tuesday, with so many delegates at stake, is he stretching it, or is Sanders getting back in the race? This one, Michigan, absolutely key to Senator Sanders getting back in the race, but we're starting to see the Biden coalition, at least in the South.
Hey guys, Jenn here. We are reporting, Ty is behind the camera. We are reporting live from the Anchor Bar in Detroit, Michigan, where it is the Bernie Sanders Results Watch Party. There's a lot of other media here. Other Bernie Sanders supporters are filing in, I guess, after work and after everything they have to do. We also have some Bernie Sanders volunteers here who have put everything together. They've been putting up signs all around the room, some Bernie Sanders signs. So we're in kind of like a quaint back room here at the Anchor Bar. So if you're in Detroit, come on out and get on camera. I want to remind you to please smash that like button so more people see this stream. It is the thumbs up button right underneath this video. So smash it, smash it, smash it. Don't get tired of me saying that, because we have to remind people so that YouTube shows this stream to more people. That's how it works with the algorithm. You can also share this stream on all your social feeds, your Twitter, your Facebook groups, your subreddits, absolutely everywhere. Just go ahead and share it. That really helps get the viewership up. People are saying hi everyone. We will be reporting, I think, for quite a long time. We'll see. Obviously, this is Mini Super Tuesday or Super Tuesday 2.0, whatever you want to call it. And the big state here tonight is Michigan with 125 delegates, which is, if you watched our live stream earlier, we talked a lot about that. I do have to report, and Jordan sent me this earlier, that the Michigan Secretary of State has said that the Michigan primary results will not be available until Wednesday. So that would be tomorrow. The results will not be out until Wednesday, I guess, unless there's some kind of surprise. But the reason seems to be that there are so many absentee ballots that they just cannot, and they were not able to start counting those until today. So that's probably why we won't have the full results today. There was a huge increase in the number of absentee ballot voters. So that's where we are. We only have one race called so far when the polls closed right at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is Mississippi. And interestingly, I have to say this did seem like a big Oscars level slip up, where they awarded the Best Picture nominee of the year to LA Story or whatever that movie was called. They actually called Mississippi initially on CNN for Bernie Sanders. Then they were like, whoops, we mean Joe Biden, which of course is no surprise. So Mississippi has been given to Joe Biden. We of course don't know the delegate breakdown. We are waiting for results to come in from that. So smash that like button, keep smashing it. I want to give you a membership update. Just 1 second here. We are at, and as you know, Status Quo is supported by your membership. We aren't supported by corporations. We aren't supported by dark money. We are supported solely by you guys, the viewers. So statusquo.com/join. You'll get great behind the scenes content, lots of fun videos and photos, and you'll get the frustrating times too, the times where our flights are delayed or we miss our flights or our flights are canceled, which is what happened to me on this trip. So join. You'll get that. You'll also get the TMI monthly member calls where Jordan and I reveal way too much information. We answer all of your questions. So statusquo.com/join. You can join for as low as $5 a month. We really need to get the membership up. Again, if you're just joining us, and let me see how many viewers we have right now. We have 273 viewers watching right now and 184 likes. So keep smashing that like button right underneath the screen. Smash it. So on our membership count, let me refresh it here. We are up to 1,802 members. We need to get 100 additional members on this trip so that we can keep reporting in the field. We have been to Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, California, and now we are here in Michigan. Ty and I are here in Michigan, and we have been for the past several days. We want to get Jordan to a new location, which I'll tell you about in a second. We actually want to get Jordan to Ohio to report on the primaries that are taking place on the 17th. So let's get into the reason after you join statuscoup.com/join. The reason that Jordan is no longer planning to go to Arizona is because they actually changed their plans for the Democratic debate. That's right. After Status Coup and Jordan Sheridan finally got access to the spin room at a Democratic debate, they decided, due to the coronavirus, that they are no longer going to have an audience at the debate, and they are closing down. They are no longer going to have a press filing room, and they are no longer going to have a spin room access for press. So it's obviously totally out of our control. This announcement just came in via email a short time ago. It's disappointing for sure because we really wanted Jordan in that spin room. But you know what? Ohio is an incredibly important state, and this could be a blessing in disguise. Ohio is one of those states that Democrats need to win in the general election. So getting Jordan there to report on the ground is absolutely important. So we're turning lemons into lemonade here. They may have canceled press access and audience access at the Dem debate, but it's okay because Status Coup is still going to be on the ground. We want to be on the ground, but we need your help to do it. statuscoup.com/join. If you're already a member and want to support us, okay, I have CNN is on in the background here, and they are reporting that Bernie Sanders is 463 votes ahead with what they have so far. Remember, there are 125 delegates at stake. So Bernie Sanders has 51.4% of the vote so far. Joe Biden has 46.2% of the votes so far. Remember that Michigan is not all on the Eastern time zone. So some of the polls close in about 40 minutes. So you hear some enthusiasm in the background here. People getting pumped up. We don't have much of the vote in at all. We only have 1% of the vote in at this point. They are breaking it down county by county. Certain counties are reporting more, but remember, we most likely will not get the full count in because there's such a substantial number of absentee ballots, absentee votes in this time that far surpasses anything that has happened in the past. So let me double check some messages from Jordan here. Okay, so Jordan is saying he's not 100% sure on the Secretary of State announcing that results won't be available until Wednesday, but that's what's been out there. That's what's kind of being reported by others. So hopefully we'll get more results in. Obviously, we just got a couple of results in from Michigan, which is good. Biden has been announced to win Missouri, and according to Jordan, so we're waiting for that to come in. Obviously, different news outlets report things at different times, so CNN might take some more time to report information than certain other ones. Last time we had the New York Times, for example, was far behind in reporting according to other outlets. The AP called California last week pretty much right away, whereas other outlets are still not calling California. So you never know. It really depends on what's happening. So let me, before we grab some folks to interview, and Ty, can you grab me a couple people to interview? Just line a couple people up. So we have Idaho closing at 11 p.m. Eastern time. We have Michigan closing. Most polls closed at 8 Eastern time. Again, we have those absentee ballots coming in. And then we have at 9 p.m. Eastern time, additional sites in Michigan are closing. We also have Mississippi, which we've talked about, closing at 8 p.m. Eastern, Missouri at 8 p.m. Eastern time, North Dakota 8 p.m. Eastern time, and Washington State at 11 p.m. Eastern time. And remember, the interesting thing about Washington State, Ty, the woman in the purple is not. She's a person, yeah. Washington State is all mail-in ballots, so Those had to be deposited at 8 p.m. local time. Of course, they are 3 hours behind Eastern time, the Eastern time, and they're in Pacific. So anyway, those are when we can expect results to start coming in here. It will definitely be an interesting night. It's not going to be as kind of exciting and explosively, interesting, I guess you can say, as Super Tuesday was, only because that, for a lot of Bernie Sanders progressives, was such a devastating night. Joe Biden won in states and at rates that surprised a lot of progressives. It's real easy questions. It'll be really easy. Yeah, come on up. It'll be great.
She said, should she?
Sure. Yeah, hi, my name is Jen.
Hi, Jen. My name is Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. It's so nice to meet you. We're with Status Coup. We're a totally independent outlet. So, yeah, the camera's that way, but we'll just talk to each other. So what brought you out here today?
Just want to see the results come in with my fellow Bernie Sanders supporters.
So you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. What is it about him or his policies that draws you to him?
Originally, I was drawn to him because he takes climate change seriously. So it was in 2015 when he said that the biggest threat to national security was climate change. And so that's what originally drew me to him. But now it's that combined with the movement around him and the people, specifically the policies like Medicare for All.
So speaking of Medicare for All, how would having Medicare for All impact you or your family or those you love?
Significantly. So I've had members of my family not disclose serious illnesses for over 10 years, even to their spouse, because they knew they couldn't afford health care. My mother's disabled, so I have to worry about how how am I going to take care of her and my kids and pay my student loans and, all of those things. So it would really significantly, and not to mention that my family alone, I have a family, 2 small children, we pay a lot for health care. So.
I don't know if you heard today, but Joe Biden yesterday on MSNBC with Lawrence O'Donnell said that he would veto a Medicare for All bill if it came down to it. After hearing your story and thinking about your story and your life and experiences, how does that make you feel that someone like Joe Biden, if he becomes president, would veto Medicare for All?
Yeah, so I think the statement he made was more that he would veto anything that waited to cover everybody, right, or had a wait period.
So he said anything that would kind of prohibit taking a minor step now was sort of the gist.
And so I think that there's 2 problems there. One is it's a jab toward Medicare for All. That's not truthful, right? And the other side of it is that it's kind of him repeating that he doesn't support the policy. So I think that it just, again, tells me that he's not listening to young people in the American working class, the American middle class, and what we're saying we need.
Absolutely. How does it make you feel when you see the polls that came out earlier about Michigan that showed Biden in this sudden lead? Do you feel hopeful still about tonight? We obviously just saw a little bit of Michigan results come in now. How are you feeling about the chances?
I feel mixed. I mean, I still feel hopeful because I'll tell you that there's people in my life that have never voted or registered that went out and voted today. That we knocked 200,000 doors in Michigan this weekend. So I'm still hopeful regardless of what happens, but it's definitely depressing in a way to see that it feels like all that work and people aren't really listening somewhat. Some people just don't want to hear, they don't listen to the policy points. They just have what they believe is what it means, and that's it. So.
How did it feel on the ground? What was the response of most of the people that you spoke with?
I would say there was a lot of people that were still talked into it. You could persuade people by just the same tactics we've had all along, talking to them about the issues that matter to them, and then how these policies would help them. But there's definitely a lot of never Bernie, and then a lot of excitement. So it's really mixed.
For those never Bernie people, what are the main things that they bring up?
A lot of media talking points, right? So they just repeat things like, I want to pay for my own health care and education, but we are talking about paying for our own health care and education, or, free stuff. We just want free stuff. Just a lot of the media talking points.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, we have from the other side, Joe Biden today kind of threatening almost a worker. I don't know if you saw that video. Of course, it doesn't get media attention. it's manufacturing consent. A lot of our audience is really kind of disgusted with corporate media. How to speak on that, on corporate media, and how you think it shapes this race and maybe misinforms people?
I think a lot of voters here in Michigan still, unfortunately, follow the polls and follow what the corporate media tells them to do. But as far as like the worker, I come from a union family. My dad's a UAW worker. Leadership doesn't see eye to eye with the membership on the ground, right? And so a lot of those UAW workers, unfortunately, went to Trump, and so a lot of them are seeing the light and going to Bernie. And so that's another thing that's hopeful. But yeah, I think a lot of people just listen to the media, the sound bites. They don't want to actually do the work themselves to read up on things, unfortunately.
So we've already talked about how you're thinking. You said you kind of have mixed feelings for tonight. I guess we'll keep watching those results come in. What words do you have to say to maybe other Bernie Sanders supporters who might be feeling down right now or not so sure?
I think we need to look at what we built and keep our eye on that. I think that no matter how it turns out, we're powerful, and we can use that power to shape whatever the policy will be for whoever the next president is. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Any last words you want to give to the audience?
No, I think that's it.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Absolutely great. All right, guys, 1 second. Hi, my name is Jen.
Landa Spencer, nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you. So what brought you out here tonight? Obviously, we're at a Bernie Sanders results watch party, so other than that, maybe his policies, what attracts you to Bernie?
Yeah, I've been following Sanders and the progressive movement very closely since 2016, 2015. Sanders' flagship, Medicare for All, is very attractive to me. I believe that single piece of legislation could help millions of people in this country and really give the middle class and the poor kind of a fighting chance in today's current economy. Healthcare is so important, so very important.
And I'd like to ask people this question. How would having Medicare for All specifically impact you, your family, the people that you love?
Yeah, so for me, right now I'm under my mom's health insurance, and she actually has UAW Ford insurance. So I'm the son of a union worker, and there's always this talking point how union workers don't want Medicare for All because it'll cancel their hard-earned work. We want it. We want it so my mom can get a higher wage, so it's no longer on the table. As you guys are probably aware, when GM workers were striking, that was one of the first things they cut was the health care. So to no longer have that bargaining chip on the table will be transformative. And me personally, once I'm off my mom's insurance at 26, I'll have to start paying for my own health care. I'll have a litany of co-pays and deductibles, and I just like the security and peace of mind to know that it's all covered.
Of course, of course. So how are you feeling about tonight? We've only seen a little bit of results come in, 1% reporting so far. There are unconfirmed reports that we may not get full results until tomorrow, specifically because they have to count the absentee ballots. But do you have a good feeling, or are you a little bit nervous?
Yeah, I've been on the ground game with the Sanders campaign here in Michigan, and I host a canvass Saturday and Sunday. And one thing that Bernie has going for him is the amazing ground game that's here. And while we've been out, we haven't seen any Biden canvassers or Biden phone bankers. So I'm pretty confident. The polls have been pretty dreary, but in 2016, we overcame that 20-point hump. So I think that if Sanders doesn't win, I think he'll shock some people tonight with how close it actually ends up being.
Speaking of Joe Biden, how do you feel about the media narrative that is surrounding him and has been surrounding him? We've been in Michigan for the past few days. We're based out of New York and Maryland. So we've noticed that it's kind of back-to-back Biden ads on channels like CNN. Does that sway voters? And in a way that you've talked about, they don't have the ground game, but do they have the media game, the wider media game, the spin?
Yeah, the spin is actually very important. I think one thing that may have been underestimated by all of us is just how important the media role is in shaping narratives in this country. And I believe that's why Super Tuesday ended up being the way that it's been. So the way that we have to counter that is, again, being on the ground, really hitting that messaging that Biden is not the electable one, and that the establishment didn't know what they were doing in 2016, and they sure as hell don't know what they're doing in 2020. And we just have to keep hitting that. But yeah, the media narrative is very important, and that's all Biden's campaign right now is big money in the media narrative, but it's working for him, unfortunately.
So you're obviously a progressive young black man. How do you feel about the narrative, of course, and some of the polling suggests that among older black voters, Biden is the candidate. What do you have to say to those voters, or what is your take on that sort of narrative or that sort of trend?
Yeah, I would just tell, people who look like me and who are older that they should really take a good look at both of their records and who they worked with in the Senate and where have they been fighting their whole lives. I mean, Bernie Sanders was one of 2 white senators to endorse Reverend Jesse Jackson. That shows a tremendous thing. I mean, he marched with in the civil rights movement. When he was back in Chicago, he was helped fighting housing discrimination. What was Joe Biden doing in his career? He worked with Strom Thurmond to do busing. He did the crime bill. So it's just, you got to look at both of their records. And then policy-wise, even if you're not looking at the candidates' records, policy-wise, Bernie Sanders has the bills that will help the black community the most. His housing bills, Medicare for all, even the Green New Deal. I mean, we don't always have to talk about criminal justice when we're talking about black Americans, but even that, the criminal justice bill, it would radically decrease the prison population for young black Americans. So I definitely think that Bernie is the candidate, and he has a proven track record. Biden, all he has is that he was Obama's VP, and that's what he's riding high on right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of voters across the board had no idea about some of the lies and mistruths that Biden talked about participating in civil rights sit-ins. He did not do that. He talked about getting arrested, meeting Nelson Mandela for apartheid. That did not happen.
And it's truly disgraceful, especially like he told that story 3 times in the month of February. Black History Month, he decided to go out and tell lies about getting arrested with Nelson Mandela, and people need to call him on that. Like, that's another thing, that's another failure of the media, is that he hasn't been called out on any of the lies in this cycle. And yeah, that's definitely something that should be brought up.
Absolutely. So you've been on the ground a lot, you've been canvassing, I assume, working hard. What do you have to say to maybe people in other states who are feeling discouraged after Biden's surge Super Tuesday? What do you have to say about people who are sitting at home thinking, is this it? Is this over if he doesn't win Michigan?
Yeah, I would say that we just got to keep fighting. We just got to go in it for the long run. All Bernie supporters, we all know that Biden doesn't have a shot at beating Trump. So this is really it for the kids in cages, for the Muslims that got barred out of this country, for the black community like myself. This is really our last stand. But I also, at the same time, want to say that even if Sanders doesn't win, we got to keep this movement and this energy going. We have to put it in other places like the DSA. We got to keep pushing forward to change this country. Maybe that's like focusing more in on local politics and what we can do in our representative states. But regardless, we got to keep this movement and energy going. That's the most important thing, I think.
And I think Bernie Sanders would agree with that it starts locally and then builds to nationally. So that makes a lot of sense. Any last words you have for the audience that you really want people to hear?
Yeah, everyone go out and vote. Bring your friends, convince your family members. That's been my work all week, convincing family members to vote for Bernie, and I've made a lot of headway. So yeah, just get your friends, get your family, and let's win this thing.
Thank you so much for your time. Really great. I really appreciate it. Thanks again.
Jordan interviewed her.
Okay.
On the
1 second,
last
guys.
night. She said she'll.
Oh, fantastic. Hi. Come on over to this side. Sure. Let me double check, make sure.
You saw the clip. Remember on the balcony when we was in Detroit?
Sure. Awesome. Very cool. So I'm just going to update the audience quickly, and then I'll turn to you. So we have 4% reporting Bernie at 49%, Biden at 46.9%, 12% of precincts in Michigan, Biden at 49.1%, Bernie at 46.1%. Jordan, send me a link or something because this is a little bit mixed up in text. Bernie is up slightly right now. Here we go. So CNN is now reporting that Joe Biden is up ahead with 21% reporting. The full polls close at 9 p.m. Eastern time, up 52%. So right now Biden is in fact up. Okay. Yep, scoot over right here. Absolutely. And remember, folks, smash that like button, share this stream. Let's get more people watching. So my name is Jen. What's your name?
Hi, Elaine Petrucci.
It's so nice to meet you. So What brought you out here today? Obviously, we're at a Bernie Sanders watch party, but his policies or the excitement or whatever brought you here.
Okay, so I was a delegate in 2016. I have been for him since 2014, and he is the candidate for the people. And the energy and enthusiasm all day today. I worked the polling stations, handed out literature, tried to inform people. The problem is what's happening is that people are voting for Biden because their candidate dropped out and endorsed him. But what people don't really recognize is that the only reason that they endorsed him is because they want those cabinet positions. Here you have them slamming him, at debates. We have Harris, talking about the segregationist policy. Oh, hey, I'm going to endorse him. It's absolutely ludicrous that people can't see into what's happening with the establishment. And the biggest thing is what people must recognize is that the Democratic Party would rather have 4 more years of Trump than Sanders in. Sanders has vowed to get the big money out of politics, and they have their position and money because of big money and corporate donations. So they don't give a crap, and people don't recognize this. And it's just, it's very frustrating as a Sanders supporter and knowing what's going on. And just, I wish people would truly comprehend what's going on.
You spoke about the media narrative and people not comprehending what's going on. How has that played out? I said in an earlier interview, Ty and I have been here for just a short amount of time, and we've seen so many Joe Biden commercials, not just the paid ones, but also on CNN. It's basically a 24/7 Biden commercial. So how does that play into how people vote?
Well, absolutely. That's all they watch. That's all they see. I knocked on doors yesterday, and a person's like, I really liked Bernie, but then he was lying about Biden. No, he wasn't lying about Biden. Where did you come up with that? I asked somebody, it's playing on a commercial. Oh, my God. How come people don't do their own research, recognize you need money more independent? But I also read that there's a big trend with independent news networks, and that is what we need. And people need to recognize that the big corporate media outlets, mainstream media are all bought and paid for by the same people that are doing the voting and donated to the candidates. And it's very frustrating, because that's not the case. And you're hearing this coming in.
Okay, so CNN has just declared Joe Biden the winner of Missouri. A previous outlet had reported that already. So Joe Biden has won Missouri, according to CNN. Thoughts on that?
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. And if they think for 1 minute, the biggest thing, CNN, no more debate, no more toe-to-toe. Why is that?
Well, as far as we're hearing, unless you've heard differently, they're still having a debate, but just no audience and no press.
That's ridiculous. Why change that? And we pretty confident that Joe's going to get the questions ahead of time, just like Hillary did in 2016. And
well, Jordan broke that with Donna Brazile. Don't forget, folks.
Right, exactly. I mean, damn well that's exactly what's going to happen. And if people think that Biden will be able to take on Trump, the man, and I don't want to really get into this, but look at what he's saying during debates. Look what he's saying during his speeches. Forgetting where he is, mixed up his sister and his wife. I mean, all of these things across the board. He cannot take on Trump. But they don't care. They don't care. As long as Sanders doesn't get in, they don't care.
I'm not sure if you saw, but Joe Biden this morning got into a scuffle with a Michigan voter and essentially threatened him and his female staffer. He said, he turned to this female staffer and said, shush, shush. I'm sorry, if any, I don't have a boss, but if any boss of mine told me to shush, I'd have a pretty big issue.
Horrible. It's ridiculous. Could you even imagine if Sanders did that? Which he wouldn't. And he has a history of this, getting angry with people. It doesn't even make, what was the pony, you're a lying pony, pony dog, whatever it was. This is absolutely ludicrous. How can this man be the nominee? He is not going to be able to withstand a debate with Trump.
Well, speak on his potential. There's a lot of chatter about a potential cognitive decline with Joe Biden. He has forgotten what he is running for. He has forgotten Obama's name. He has forgotten what year he was vice president. Speak on that.
Naming other politicians that are long dead. Do you think that Trump is going to be nice to him? And you look at the debates in 2012. You go on YouTube, sharp as hell. If people think that he is going to be able to take Trump on during a debate and he does something like that, Trump is going to eviscerate him. It will be, he can't be our nominee and expect to hold a Democrat to get in the White House. He will not be able to take Trump out. It's ridiculous.
And I guess a lot of Joe Biden people seem to be less focused on policy. At least that's based on what we are seeing on the ground. Speak on Bernie Sanders' policies and the importance of those to you specifically, like Medicare for all, or.
Oh yeah, okay. So we have so many different times. Biden voted against every single last, or voted for every single last trade, NAFTA. Permanent relations with China, that destroyed Michigan. Hundreds of thousands of jobs were lost. He voted for every war. It is we right now spend $250 million a day on war. The Pentagon is unaccounted for $21 trillion of money. Yeah, we're going to put the same establishment in? It's absolutely ridiculous. Medicare for... Okay, so Sanders, he's also said that Biden also said he was going to veto it, even if it passed the House and the Senate. That's ridiculous. And it leaves 11 million people uninsured. There was just that study out that said 60,000 people die each year because they don't have insurance. And Biden's going to continue that. Horrible policies. And if they don't think that Trump is going to weaponize his bad voting record, they're crazy. He's already doing it across the board. You look at these clips and the way that they're talking about Joe Biden. He's too vulnerable. So yeah, absolutely. Sanders policies where everybody gets to live. What was it? A D- from Greenpeace for Joe Biden, A- for Bernie. I mean, he's going to save our planet, give everybody health care. Oh, but no, we don't want him. It's crazy.
So talk to the people who are sitting at home right now, and I like to ask this question, who are feeling sad about the results after Super Tuesday, the results here where we have Joe Biden's won another 2 states. Talk to people who are feeling kind of depressed or despondent about Bernie Sanders' chances right now.
Okay, so I think that what we need to do is if you are feeling depressed and you are feeling sad, you need to go knock on some doors, because a lot of it is misinformation. So much of it is people just don't know. They don't realize how people are going against, and they don't realize how his policies are being weaponized by the Trump administration and right-wingers. And they need to know that. I firmly believe that if people really knew, matter of fact, today there was a woman I was talking to at the polls, talked to her for 1 minute, and she said, oh my God, I wish I could change my vote. She's like, I wish there was some way I could do that, because she just didn't know. And part of the problem is so many people had their minds made up on another candidate, wham, last second, oh wait, and now oh, wait a minute, I trust my candidate. My candidate would only endorse Biden if they really believed it was the best. That must be who I need to vote for. No. This is why they did it. This is what's really going on. This is how his policies are going to hurt. This is how Bernie Sanders' policies are going to be the best. Absolutely.
Great. And any last words you have for the audience that you want people to know?
Don't lose hope. Knock on doors. Keep going. We still can do this. It's not in Michigan. He's not down by that much. He really isn't. And I think that the more things come out about Joe and the more recognition, people will. We still have a chance. Don't lose hope. Keep knocking on those doors. Keep talking to people. Keep informing them.
So one more thing. You spoke about independent media. Status Quo is independent. You've been interviewed by Jordan before. So why should people support outlets like Status Quo?
Support outlets like Status Quo. They're the ones that are giving the real news. They aren't bought and paid for. They are funded by the people. That's what we need.
Thank you so much. Statusquo.com/join. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. Hi, come on over. Jenn, so nice to meet you. Yeah. Sorry, come on over this way. 1 second here. Let me just update the audience, but stick right here. Okay. Oh, I guess they're figuring things out. Okay, so I want to give you guys an update. Welcome, new member Kyle. Thank you so much for joining, Kyle. You're amazing. Statusquo.com/join. We are now 97 members away from 1,900 members. Okay, so sorry about that. Just had to give a little update. So my name is Jenn. What's your name?
My name is Lauren.
Hi, Lauren. So What brought you out here? Why are you excited to come to this Bernie results watch party?
Well, I'm really excited because I've been volunteering heavily for the campaign for the last few months. So this is kind of where we find out how far we got with making our case for Bernie.
So you said you've been volunteering. What specifically have you been doing?
Phone banking, canvassing, doing organizing parties to get people to set up events, and also just good old door knocking.
So you've been doing a lot, obviously, for the campaign. What's the general sentiment out there? Are people responsive to Bernie who maybe weren't before or didn't really know about him before? What's the feeling out there?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes when you're a political junkie, you sort of overestimate how engaged everyone is. And it was actually kind of eye-opening to talk to some people who were kind of open-minded, were on the fence, and kind of, make our case for Bernie.
Absolutely. What do you think about the general kind of sense in Michigan? Are you thinking Bernie's going to win, or are you concerned based on the polling, based on the results we've seen so far, that Biden might pull through in Michigan?
Well, I have been trying to keep the faith because in 2016, Hillary was predicted to win by about 20 points here, and Bernie actually had a really good victory. So, I'm keeping that in mind. However, I will say that it's not really apples to apples. Biden is a different candidate than Hillary, so we'll see how the folks respond.
Absolutely. So policy-wise, what is it about Bernie that is important to you? Medicare for All in particular, how would that affect you and your family or the people that you care about?
I would affect me and my family positively. I will say that what draws me to the campaign really is Bernie's, I will fight for someone I don't know, and I will say that I am insured. I have good coverage. I'm a healthy person, but I know so many people who aren't, who struggle to pay medical bills, who, are really dealing with a broken system. And also I spent a long time working in the restaurant industry where people don't get paid vacation, don't get paid time off, paid sick time, and also usually are uninsured. And, I think that even with like Obamacare right now, with a bronze plan, sometimes people are paying for coverage that they can't afford to use.
Absolutely. So, getting a sense here of a lot of voters that are underinformed, and we talked about this a little bit before, that you said, people who are not as engaged in politics as you and I are, it's kind of surprising sometimes. I actually had someone I spoke with who said, oh, the primaries, where is that? As if there's only one location, or she didn't even know what it was. So when people hear these Biden advertisements that have been all over the place, the lack of coverage on Biden's gaffes and things like that, how does this media spin and the narrative out there impact voters possibly in favor of Biden?
Well, I think that he's been long pitched as like the safe choice, which is ironic considering that a lot of the establishment Democrats who are now sort of condemning Sanders supporters for pointing out Biden's cognitive decline, a lot of the same media people and other candidates in the race, such as Cory Booker, were pointing this out over the summer. So I think the lack of attention to it is problematic. I think that a lot of Biden's support comes from sort of like a Nixonian silent majority. I have seen one Biden bumper sticker in my life. I have never seen a Biden yard sign. They cost $25. Bernie yard signs are $3. So I think that I don't see any passionate Biden support. I think it's like sort of a presumed creation of like, this is the safe bet, and I truly think it's anything but.
You mentioned that Cory Booker previously talked about Joe Biden's obvious, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, cognitive decline. Kamala Harris called Joe Biden out previously on his busing stance, and she said, I was that little girl. How does it feel, or speak on the fact that these candidates who used to be kind of truthful about how they felt about Biden have now dropped out and endorsed him at the expense of Bernie Sanders?
I think that it really shows how nefarious a role money plays in politics and institutional power. It is very startling, maybe not so surprising to see. But some of these people, you thought maybe they were willing to buck the establishment a little bit, but you see how much it is all about just gaining favor. And I think that these people are endorsing him not out of their genuine belief, but about furthering their own career or looking for a cabinet position. And it's very sad. It's especially to see someone like Kamala, who was very passionate in her criticism of Biden's busing support. That just like made me lose all. I mean, she was never my candidate, but made me lose all respect for her.
What about Elizabeth Warren? She spent time dancing around on Saturday Night Live the other night instead of potentially endorsing Bernie. Do you think that she actually believes in or has any conviction for those progressive policies that she purported to? What is she doing if not endorsing Bernie?
The Pandora's box of any leftist woman. I have had I have really respected Elizabeth Warren for a long time, but that has changed recently. I thought her dig on, Bernie doesn't believe that a woman could win the presidency. I thought that was, very harsh and uncalled for, and I think that a lot of her behavior and campaigning since have been troublesome. It does bother me, and it makes me kind of feel that she was never committed to a progressive cause. It was more about visibility or representation to her than actually enacting policies. I mean, the good thing is that I have seen a lot of people I know on social media who I know are Warren supporters say they voted for Bernie. So that makes me happy, and that that they were obviously supporting kind of a similar policy plank. But for her as an individual, it does bother me that she hasn't endorsed Bernie or tried to even help him campaign on his behalf, because I feel like if the tables were turned, he would do it for her.
Sure. Okay, so what words do you have for people who are sitting at home right now? Maybe their state hasn't voted yet. Maybe they are in Michigan. What words do you have of maybe encouragement or advice for those people?
I would say stop the self-punditry. Stop trying to play 3D chess and figure out, who would win or who you think other people would vote for, and vote for who you believe would be the best president and the best change. I happen to think that the best opponent to go against Donald Trump is Bernie Sanders. This is not just an ideological thing for me. I think he's more focused, more mentally competent. I, of course, like his platform, but I would tell people to, just kind of look at where they stand side by side, and don't try to just figure out what you think other people will think is safe.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time, Lauren. That was wonderful. Thank you again. Yeah, you can say any last words if you want to. Anything else you have?
Feel the burn.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, making sure I don't have any updates here. Okay. All right, so guys, remember, smash that like button so more people see this stream. That's how YouTube's algorithm works. The more you hit that like button, the more YouTube will show it in other people's feeds. It is the thumbs up button right underneath this video. Yep, stay right here. I'm just updating the audience. So the more you do that, if you're on watching on the mobile app, you just need to close out the live chat briefly. Then you'll see that thumbs up button. Also share this stream on your Facebook groups, your Twitter, your subreddits. You're absolutely everywhere. Help get the word out, guys. Also, become a member, statuscoup.com/join. We are on the ground, literally giving the microphone back to the people because of you guys, just $5 a month. Okay, my name is Jen. What's your name?
Douglas.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you. So what are you excited about? You're here, you have a Bernie pin on. What excites you about Bernie Sanders?
I heard her starting to speak.
Awesome. So why don't we have you come on like right after these speeches? Is that good? Okay, so we'll listen to the speeches.
My name is Michael Vasulo. I am the state coordinator for the Michigan campaign, and I just want to say thank you so much for being in this fight for justice, for being in this fight for Medicare for all, for being in this fight for a Green New Deal. Let's give it up for that fight right now. We have knocked thousands of doors, hundreds of thousands of doors. We have opened up offices all across the state. We have motivated and inspired people to come out to vote in places and in times that they never thought that they'd make it to a ballot box. And as we watch results come in, I know that it's difficult, it's frustrating, it can be sort of a roller coaster on an election night like one of these. And I want to say a couple of things as the state coordinator. One, I already said it, thank you. This work is not easy. This work is pretty difficult. And if it was easy, if it was supposed to be something that was in the bag, we would have had things like Medicare for all or a Green New Deal a long time ago. Remember that. And so, as we go into a night and we go into a primary that continues on, and we will continue on throughout this process, no matter what, I want folks to remember that it's hard for a reason. There are entrenched interests, there are entrenched figures, there's an establishment that wants to see us not succeed. And what we are doing here today, what we have done, if you knocked on a door, if you voted for the first time, if you stood in line for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, you did it for a reason, and you proved it to others that you're worth it. Who here in this room knows Reverend Jesse Jackson? Raise your hand. So the other day he endorsed our campaign. And he's well known for saying a line, and he used to say, I am somebody. And he would say, I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may not know how to provide food on the table, but I am somebody. And I watched that video the other day for a couple of hours. I put it on repeat, and I cried. And I cried because I was in Grand Rapids when he stood on the stage the other day, and there was a woman in the back who didn't have a good sight of the senator, who didn't have a good sight of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and she was stretching her neck out to watch as he spoke. And as he said, I am somebody, she repeated back, I am somebody. Her hands were raised in the air, tears were streaming down her face, and she was mouthing, I am somebody. In 2015, I was walking down the street in Chicago, and I came across a woman who was writing chalk on the wall, on the sidewalk, and she was writing Bernie Sanders watch party, and she had drawn Bernie Sanders. And I went up to her and I said, who is this person that you're drawing on the sidewalk about for a watch party in July at your apartment? She said, well, it's Senator Bernie Sanders. And I said, who is that? So she explained to me who Bernie Sanders was, and I went up and I looked up on Facebook who he was, and I followed his page. And as the summer months of 2015 went by, I watched as the likes went up. I watched as Bernie Sanders went to Phoenix, he went to Portland, he went to Milwaukee. This guy who had disheveled hair, this guy who shopped at Ross and got a used suit, and everybody online and everybody in the media said, this guy can't be serious. This guy's going to run a race, he's going to push Madam Clinton to the left, but he can't do it. And at that same time, as I watched, as he grew crowds and crowds and crowds, he came in a virtual tie in Iowa. He went on to New Hampshire and he won New Hampshire. I watched as others came along with him and fought to overcome all the odds. So I watched a senator overcome all the odds, and I watched a group of people come along with him overcome the odds. And so for me, a gay kid growing up in a Catholic conservative family who had struggled to come out for years and years and years, it was Bernie Sanders' win in 2016 that inspired me to overcome all the odds in my own life. And I came out to my parents 2 days later. And so I want you all to remember that this campaign is not about a ballot box. This campaign is not about an election night. It's not about a primary. It's not about a Democratic nomination. It is about a movement for justice. It is about a movement for people to say, I am somebody.
Hell yeah!
So I want to hear you say with me, I am. Somebody. Somebody. I am. Somebody. Somebody. I am. Somebody. Somebody. Thank you all so much. I'm going to pass it over to Justin Onwenu.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. My name is Justin Onwenu. I'm an organizer based here in Detroit. Also inspired by the work of this campaign, the volunteers, that Senator Sanders has inspired. One of the first things that he said when he opened up his campaign is, are you willing to fight for someone you don't know? That was the question that he posed to people. The questions that I want to pose to you all, in the state of Michigan, the Great Lakes state, the state that's responsible for over 20% of the world's fresh water, is it normal to have families in Flint and Detroit struggle to get access to clean water? Is that normal?
Hell no.
In a state that put the world on wheels, built the middle class, is it normal to have our elected officials continue to sell us out on trade deal after trade deal? Is that normal?
Hell
Should it be normal?
no. No. It shouldn't be.
In the wealthiest country in the history of the world, is it normal that whenever we spend money for war or tax breaks for billionaires, is it normal that zero questions are asked on how we're going to pay for it? Is that normal? It shouldn't be. And so for me as an organizer working with families specifically to fight for things like clean air and clean water, my role as an organizer is to fight to change what normal means. And that's what this campaign, I think, is about. Not me, us, not me, us. That's a hashtag to a lot of people, but I think it means a lot more to anyone who's been inspired by the campaign, by the senator's words. Not me, us is about not you, not me as an organizer, not the campaign officials, not the media. It's about us changing what normal looks like. And so in Michigan in particular, a couple of days ago, in Detroit, we just found out that the governor, that the mayor will be issuing a moratorium on water shutoffs. That seemed like, regular news to a lot of people, but this has been a fight that for years and years and years and years and years, activists and organizers in Detroit have been fighting for. Senator Bernie Sanders was one of the only public officials, not just one of the only presidential candidates, but one of the only major public officials to come out and say that that's wrong, that in a city that put the world on wheels, we still don't have people who have access to clean water. He was the only presidential candidate to come out forcefully against that, against Line 5, that's putting our Great Lakes at risk of an oil rupture. He was the only candidate to do that. And so I think it's important to recognize the work that he's done, the work that this campaign has done, but also recognize that it's so much more about him. I want to close with kind of an illustration, a story. The campaign rally that was held in TCF a couple of days ago was a big deal. 6,000 people. I saw people crying, I saw people cheering, I saw people more excited than they've ever been to see a candidate. At the end, I was sad because I was dreading having to spend 2 hours in a parking lot to leave the rally. Luckily, I parked on the first floor and was able to get out within a couple of minutes. But one of the things that I saw when I was exiting was a person going behind each car and with a marker, and a white marker, putting "Go Bernie, Bernie 2020, vote on Tuesday, let's do this, let's win this," behind every single car. And I asked the woman, "Why are you doing this?" I see you're enthusiastic, why are you doing it? She said, "I don't know if people are going to like this, but someone somewhere out there is going to see Bernie 2020, vote on Tuesday, and they're going to be reminded to vote, they're going to be reminded to support their values." And so that's what this campaign is about. It's not about me as an individual, you as an individual. It's about changing what normal looks like, and sometimes that can happen in creative ways and abnormal ways that we may not have imagined previously. And so I just want to end similarly by saying, remember the chant, "I am somebody," because it really does mean something. So, I am somebody, repeat after me. I am somebody.
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 Awesome. Thank you.
So let's give it up for Justin. Let's give it up for ourselves. We fought for this movement. We've knocked on doors. We've gone to the polls. We've held the lines. This is a celebration of our night. This is a celebration of our work. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being in this movement. Let's give it up for ourselves and for all the folks who got involved in this movement tonight. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We're going to play some music, order some food, get some drinks. Thanks, everybody.
You ever seen Money Talks?
Huh?
Money Talks?
Yeah.
Chris Tucker was getting interviewed. Sweet. Talking about, we on? Alright, I got you.
That's reloading here. Okay, before we get you back on, we're still live.
Okay.
So, okay, now we can move over again. Sorry about that. I want to give you an update. This is from Jordan. James Clyburn called for canceling any further debates if Biden wins big tonight. So James Clyburn has called for canceling any further debates if Biden wins big tonight. Does that sound like democracy to you?
Oh man, I want to sound glass half full for this interview, but it just seems like the DNC just reached out to all the other candidates and they pretty much just conspired to support Joe Biden. And I mean, just intervening with the democratic process, it hasn't been a success. We saw that in 2016. I think you should just kind of let it happen naturally. And unfortunately, people try to, put their will in. So we're just seeing the effects of 4 or 5 candidates that were 2 weeks ago running their own campaign, but now supporting the candidate.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna have you reintroduce yourself in just a second. I have one more update from Jordan. So NBC has just called it for Biden. Jordan, make sure you write what they have called, just because I don't want to announce it incorrectly. I think I know what you're saying. Jordan also says, from me, the reason we launched Status Coup is because of exactly what viewers are seeing and feeling tonight. Corporate media, propaganda, and misinformation is the biggest decider and interference in elections. Interference in quotes. Win or lose, we will continue fighting to expose it and give the microphone back to the people. The only way for progressives to win is to break through the corporate media programming and wake more people up. So while we wait for more from Jordan, tell the audience your name again so we'll kind of restart since we got the speeches interrupting us.
Sure, my name is Doug Brooks. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Went to Howard University in D.C., just moved back. So, I'm really...
Here, turn towards me a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of sad to see the results right now. They just called Michigan for Joe Biden, but
Okay, yes. So CNN has just called Michigan for Joe Biden.
It really sucks, man. So I guess that's a sad reality we have to deal with right now. And I got my Bernie pin on, so I'm representing they're just like 2 totally different candidates. Their voting record alone, it's kind of hard to support that. So,
how does it make you feel? Have you volunteered for Bernie?
yeah, like I volunteer for Bernie. I've been to a lot of events, even in the 2016 election. So yeah, I've been like a super supporter, man. Yeah.
What is it about Bernie's policies that are so important to you?
Man, just like, transformative leadership, just like focusing on not just kind of coming in and looking good, but just like actually standing up for what, people that really deserve a voice. That's what I can see. Yeah, like Bernie, come on, like everyone stole all of his 2016 campaign points this year, and we're just looking at politics play out. Like, yeah, it's pretty saddening, man. Y'all don't want me crying on y'all show, do y'all?
It's okay if you want to, if you need to. You can do whatever you want here at Status Coup.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really sucks to see this right now. Like, I wish everybody thought like us. Like, yeah, why not have public college? If we can spend almost $1 trillion a year on our military, why can't we send people to school? You can spend money educating people, or you're going to spend a lot of money controlling them and trying to monitor them. And that's not the type of world we want to live in. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You spoke a little bit on the policies. Why doesn't everyone support those policies? We know from the polling that people do support things like Medicare for all, but what aren't they getting here in Michigan, in your opinion? Is it the media? What is happening here that the support of the policies isn't translating to the support of the policies that Bernie Sanders represents?
It all boils down to, what people have money to put their interests into. You have lobbyists. They won't really, I don't think you have a bunch of, rich lobbyists that are talking about public education, because that doesn't serve their interests. So it's just like a money factor, you know what I mean? Like when you're trying to lift up the poor and the sick, you're not going to have support from the media every day. They're going to just focus on a word and not what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So I know this is a big blow to you, but do you have any advice for the people who are sitting at home, maybe their states haven't voted yet, or they're feeling discouraged? What would you say to them?
Man, I would say in the meantime, at least for the next few weeks, I think you should just vote for whichever candidate that you believe in, just to kind of send a message to the Democratic Party, because whoever wins is going to win. They're going to be nominees. So I think you should still vote for who you want to vote for. Like, why not? Like, I mean, yeah, why not? Like, I understand uniting the Democratic Party, but, at this point, just vote for who you believe in. Maybe in May, then talk about uniting the Democratic Party, but I think we should still let places like New York vote. I don't want to think, I'm just thinking about states that haven't voted yet. I mean, I know a lot of the Midwest hasn't voted yet, and the West, so continue to see some of those places vote before we say, oh, the South and maybe a few states in the Northeast and Michigan has decided for the entire country. That would be my popular opinion on that.
Obviously, we don't know exactly what's going on in Michigan. We don't have the full results in. We know it's been declared. But the media has not been reporting on things like this, but in Texas, Status Coup reported earlier today, they found 44 thumb drives of votes they didn't count in Dallas County in Texas. So they called Texas for Joe Biden, but all of a sudden we learned they didn't actually count all of the votes. There are also voting shenanigans or election shenanigans going on in California. So how does that make you feel? Do you think that the establishment or whoever's pulling these strings is going to stop at nothing? What's going to happen if Bernie Sanders, it's not over yet, but will the establishment win?
I don't want to say there is any cheating involved. Maybe people have made some mistakes, human errors. So, I do have faith in the Democratic Party even though in 2016 that there were a lot of things they did that were out of line, I like to have faith in them that they'll do better this time. And, let's just hope those votes bring the delegate count up. That's all I can say. You know what I'm saying? Let's just hope they bring it up. I don't think 100 delegate margin with less than 50% of the population votes in is a reason to really stop an election. I think Bernie Sanders right now needs to pick a vice president, like try to get Elizabeth Warren, or get somebody, like he needs to like do something to just re-spark so people just stop talking about socialists. Because that's the only reason they hate him. If he would have never brought that up. Yeah.
So you brought up Elizabeth Warren. What do you think she's doing right now? Why hasn't she endorsed Bernie Sanders if she's truly a progressive?
You know, I mean, I feel like what they're doing is a hard job. The media is on them every day. So she's just probably somewhere dancing, eating, relaxing. So
She was certainly dancing on SNL.
Exactly. So I think I think Bernie should reach out to her and try to get her on the ticket. Like, the only way he's going to, like, re-spark this is, like, I'm doubling down. Here's my enthusiastic vice presidential pick. And that will, like, restart this up. Yeah. So, yeah, we got like, all these people supporting Biden. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. I don't even want to start bashing Joe Biden because who knows? You know, Joe might be giving me a job one day. I'm just kidding around.
Okay, any last words that you have for the people sitting at home?
Man, just go out and vote for Bernie Sanders, man. Bernie Sanders 2020. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for your time. It's great. Thank you. Appreciate you.
And we got the music in the background. That's what I'm talking about, man. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah.
If you see anyone else who wants to come talk to us, send them on over.
$200, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay. So Jordan, send me any updates if you have them. I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if there are super chats and things like that to respond to. Keep super chats coming if you haven't already. 1 second here, scrolling. We've talked to some great people here tonight. Obviously, a lot of people here are disappointed in the results here at the party, but the spirits are up. People keep saying, yeah, still canvass, still go out there and volunteer, still go out there and vote for who your heart and who your policy brain wants you to vote for. So let's see here. Andy P, $5 in the super chat. You are a hero, Jen. Thank you, Andy. Andy, you're always so sweet. If I could make the heart sign with my hand, I could. I really appreciate you. Absolutely. Keep those super chats coming. It helps us so much. Keep those memberships coming. The music is bumping. Okay. Just looking at the comments here. Okay, keep smashing that like button. We have 657 people watching right now, unless I need to just refresh my page, which I do. Oh, hi. Okay, 1 second. You can stand right here. I'm just updating the audience. Come on over a little bit closer. Look at your shirt. Look at this audience. Very cool. I just need to refresh here. 1 second, guys. Okay, so we have 711 watching. We've been streaming for a little bit over an hour, over 1,000 likes. So please smash that like button. I want to update you again if you are just joining us. CNN and the DNC have decided that there's going to be no audience at the Democratic debate this weekend and no press. The press filing and the press spin room has been canceled. So we were so excited because Jordan was finally going to get in the spin room, but now it's been canceled. But that's okay because we want to be on the ground wherever the people are. We want to send Jordan to Ohio. So go to statuscoup.com/join and help us out here. All right. So tell the audience your name.
Nikita Lehman. I'm actually from Ohio.
And you drove all this way, right?
I did.
And tell the people what you were listening to on the drive over.
You.
It was so funny. We ran into each other right before the event started, and she's like, oh, I was just listening to you. So it's kind of cool. Status Quo's getting out there. So how are you feeling? We just got the results in.
Pretty disappointed, but I mean, it's hard not to stay positive, you know, when Bernie's leading.
Yes, it's a lot easier when your candidate is leading to stay positive, that's for sure. And we'll talk about this later. Have you been on the ground for Bernie? Have you been volunteering, or what has your role been? Are you just a supporter?
Yeah, actually, I'm on spring break this week. I'm actually a mother of 3, but I have spring break from Ohio State this week, so I decided to come to Michigan. I plan on going to Pennsylvania tomorrow or Thursday, and I stopped in Flint today for an event on the Bernie Sanders events page, and then I came here.
Wonderful. So there's a lot of, that's what I'm seeing here in this room. It's filled with people who not only voted for Bernie Sanders, but who are fighting for him, who are knocking on doors, who are making those phone calls, who are doing everything they can. So a lot of people are disappointed, obviously. What do you think happened here in Michigan? Why did Biden win?
I think the media narrative's pretty powerful, first of all, and the fact that they got out in front of it and started with the narrative that Biden's winning after Super Tuesday, that was a big push for Biden across most of the media platforms, but also the African American vote. I think that Bernie did an amazing town hall in Flint, but maybe it was a little too late. You know, some voters I talked to today actually said that he didn't make Michigan a priority until the last few days. I mean, I don't see it that way, but I'm not a Michiganer and I'm not black either, so I'm not going to speak for them. I do think that a lot of people are becoming more informed, and the fact that Bernie won Michigan in 2016 and now he's not, I mean, it raises questions.
What questions does it raise in your mind? You're just thinking about, you know, what could have happened? Why were they able to call it this early?
Like, for instance, is Joe Biden more electable than Hillary Clinton? Were more people coming out to vote against her? Are Republicans coming out to vote for Biden? I've heard all the theories. I'm just not sure. I would like to go and look up some of the exit polls when I get home.
Yeah, for sure. And so speaking of the uninformed or misinformed electorate, we were in Flint, I believe it was yesterday, and we spoke to 2 older African American ladies who were very, very nice, very receptive, but they were unaware of the fact that Joe Biden had lied about participating in civil rights sit-ins, had lied about being arrested on his way to meet Nelson Mandela in South Africa. They were unaware and they were shocked to hear that. So why, you spoke about the media narrative, but why is our electorate so misinformed or uninformed?
I believe most of that is the media. They're continuing to cover positive things about Joe Biden disproportionately than for Bernie. And I think most people that actually pay attention can see that. I have been called a Bernie bro and told I'm a conspiracy theorist just for pointing out facts. And I think it's like the epitome of privilege to vote based on what somebody else is saying to you, online especially. The internet can be pretty vile, and people need a spine, and they need a spine for politics, that's for sure.
You need a spine for politics. I think that's very well put, for sure. So the people who are sitting at home tonight may be feeling despondent. I like to ask this question. What would you tell them? You said you're going on to fight in Pennsylvania. What should people at home do?
Well, just remember the delegate count. In 2016, after Super Tuesday, I believe Hillary Clinton led 2008, led Obama by over 100 delegates. We're still close. Still not all the delegates have been counted from California or Colorado or Utah, of course. And I think we need to keep our eye on that. Tonight, it's not going to be a huge blowout from Biden. So far, I don't know the results from Washington, which is another big delegate pool. So we got to watch for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So any last words you want to leave us with?
I think that it's the duty of American citizens to elect someone with sound judgment first and foremost. And yes, Republicans can throw out diagnoses and stuff at Joe Biden, but we really, as Democrats, need to talk about the fact that Joe Biden's doing 7-minute rallies and speeches and still having gaffes. I watched a video from 2016 where Biden was actually fighting for Bernie Sanders, as in he would be the one more likely to beat Trump than Hillary Clinton. And just watching that video, I realized how big of a difference his cognitive function seems to be, at least. And it's something we got to talk about. Trump's not going to go easy on him. So I think you should think about what kind of judgment we want leading this country.
Very good. Thank you so much for your time. Absolutely great. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, by the way, tell the audience why they should watch Status Coup or support Status Coup.
Because they're awesome. No, really, because Status Coup actually, they're journalists. Like, I can't say it enough. Journalism, what has it become, you know? It used to be about telling the truth. If you haven't read 1984, please do. And then sign up to be a member of Status Coup.
Yeah, statuscoup.com/join. Thank you again. Great stuff. Very, very, very nice people here. People who have worked hard. You can tell that people are disappointed. They have worked so hard. It's not like they just went to the polling booth and voted. They actually went out there. They knocked on doors. They made phone calls. They worked their tails off to try to get a victory for Bernie Sanders. But we are up against the coalescence of the Democratic establishment around Joe Biden. And tonight, Bernie Sanders did not have a victory in Michigan. We are still waiting for the full results to come in, but people are still fighting. So you have to be excited about that. You have to be excited about the fact that people aren't giving up. You know, she's going onward to Pennsylvania. She's going from Ohio. She came to Michigan. She's traveled to Flint. We're now in Detroit here. She's been all over the place. She's on her way to Pennsylvania to keep fighting. And I think that that's a really important point, and it speaks to the hearts of progressives and the fact that Bernie Sanders does have an excellent ground game. I wanted to report something that is good. We've spoken in interviews about Elizabeth Warren, and as I wait for my internet to re-up here, about Elizabeth Warren and the fact that she's been dancing around on Saturday Night Live instead of endorsing Bernie Sanders, who is the only choice for progressives. So I have a little bit of an announcement. It is not to do with Elizabeth Warren endorsing Bernie Sanders, but it is to do with a little bit of support from the Warren camp. So I'll get into that. But first I want to announce, 1 second here. Okay, so I want to say thank you so much to Seth Peterson, $100 in the super chat. Thank you so much, Seth. You are always amazing. I'm giving you my heart. I really appreciate you. There's your heart. Seth says, F the DNC. It is time for that party to die for good. When Biden loses to Trump, don't expect us to still be on board a sinking ship. What little democracy we have is at risk of dying. Status Coup, please keep reporting. You're the only thing worth watching. Seth, I promise you we will keep reporting. We will not stop. We need to get Jordan to Ohio. You have helped us so much. Guys, keep the super chats coming. Also remember, you can support us at statuscoup.com/supportsc, or you can join as a member for just $5 a month. statuscoup.com/join. Love these super chats. We also have another one from Mr. Methuselah. $20 in the super chats. Bernie got Jeremy Corbyn. He was too soft. Everyone was his friend. Also, too much stacked against Bernie. Too much stacked against Bernie. Folks, now it is time to double down to get more progressives elected to Congress in preparation for 2024. Thank you so much, as always, Mr. Methuselah. I'm going to grab my water. 1 second, guys. Okay, it is packed here. It is lots and lots of people here now. It's really filling in, like standing room only. Let me refresh, make sure I didn't miss any super chats before I move on and tell you the news about Elizabeth Warren's, some Elizabeth Warren campaign folks who are being supportive here. Let me make sure. Okay. Now then, apologies if I'm trying to find things because I have about 100 different tabs open. So, we've talked about the fact that Elizabeth Warren has not endorsed Bernie Sanders yet, but Team Warren has come out, so some former members of the Warren for President team have come out to support Bernie Sanders. So this is on Medium. We will try to remember to put the link in if I forget. It's on Medium, and it's called Team Warren for Bernie Sanders. That's the title. So it starts off, we, former members of the Warren for President team, are proud to have worked for a candidate who fights tirelessly for a country that works for all of us. Elizabeth ran a campaign on intersectional policy issues like Medicare for All, a wealth tax, a Green New Deal, canceling student loan debt, providing universal free college, expanding Social Security, legalizing marijuana at the federal level and erasing convictions, and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now that Elizabeth has told us that her campaign is concluded, we know that she is considering how to best continue the fight for big structural change. We respect that process and trust that she, as she always does, will do what is best to advance this movement. We also understand and respect that many Warren supporters are still processing their feelings as well. We urge them to take care of themselves first, and we stand ready to welcome them back into the fight when they are ready. We, the undersigned former employees and fellows of Warren for President, are ready to get back in the fight for a just and progressive future. We know that we need a bold, ambitious policy agenda for working families, marginalized communities, and our planet. We know that we won't beat Donald Trump by simply talking about a return to business as usual. We hold these values close to our hearts because we've spent months talking about them with community members and volunteers in the field on behalf of Elizabeth Warren. That's why the best option for Warren Democrats right now is to support Bernie Sanders for president, in addition to fighting for Democratic victories across the board in Senate, House, and local races. So then they go on to list a set of goals. They have 5 goals. Work to consolidate those who are ready to jump from Warren to Sanders immediately. Outreach to inspire other former Warren supporters who are not yet ready to support Sanders or who are considering Joe Biden. Mobilizing volunteer action for upcoming primaries. Carrying forward Elizabeth Warren's ideals and carrying forward her policy priorities. In Senator Warren's words, choose to fight only righteous fights, because then when things get tough, and they will, you will know that there is only one option ahead of you. Nevertheless, you must persist. So they are saying that in their opinion, they want you to persist and fight for Bernie Sanders. So the authors is a whole long list of Elizabeth Warren supporters who are now moving over their support to Bernie Sanders and his campaign. So you see, guys, it's not all lost. It's not as if, Bernie Sanders lost Michigan. They have called it, but it's not a time to be despondent among progressives. There are positive things. We've been waiting for Team Warren members to move on over to Bernie Sanders' camp since their policies are most closely aligned, and that has happened today. So I just wanted to read you that. Also, I have an exciting announcement. Yay! Welcome, new member Brandon. Brandon, we love you. We really appreciate your support. We can't thank you enough. statuscoup.com/join. Brandon, heart for you. We are now just 96 members away from 1,900 members. Let's get Jordan to Ohio. Hey, come on over. You're good. My name is Jen. What's your name?
I'm Justin.
Hi. So obviously you spoke tonight, yes? And remind the audience of what you spoke about, kind of summarize that in case they're coming into the live stream a little bit late.
Yeah. I mean, the central point is that no matter what happens tonight, the states, whoever wins, it's a talking point for a lot of campaigns to say that we're going to fight no matter what and the values live on. But I think the Sanders campaign has really embodied the fact that this is larger than one night, one campaign, one primary, one election. And so I think things like clean air, clean water seems like common sense, health care for all people, access to education, a standard quality of living. I think those are obvious ideas to me, obvious ideas to you, hopefully. But I think that making sure that those are obvious values to the establishment, to our entire country, is something that we're going to have to fight for long term. And I think that the Sanders campaign is best positioned to make sure that we're, being inclusive and fighting in the long term and not just over one campaign cycle.
Speak on that, bless you. Speak on that kind of Democratic establishment coalescence around Joe Biden and what that means and has meant for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, it was disappointing to see certain candidates call out Joe Biden for, his past policies, whether it comes to criminal justice issues or the war in Iraq, and then turn around and endorse him. So it was disappointing to see.
Of course. Bless you again. So, talk about yourself in particular. What brought you over to Bernie Sanders, his policies? Speak on his policies in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I am an environmental justice organizer. Yesterday morning, I went to a guy's house where pretty much 5 feet away from where I'm standing, there was, a industrial site that was literally shaking his home. I went inside, the home was shaking. And so that was an everyday occurrence for him, for thousands of other people that live in Southwest Detroit. Those are the issues I work on, and so to have a candidate speak to those issues really meant a lot.
Of course. Bless you again. Oh my gosh. No worries. No, it's no worries. You're allergic to me. You're allergic to me.
No, don't even say it.
No. You all right? You all good? Yeah, so... Yeah, just scoot in a little bit because they're going to try to move this table.
You about to leave? You about to leave? Okay. Oh, actually, you're about to leave?
1 second here, 1 second here.
Cool.
Okay. Do you have to go?
No.
Or you're good? Okay. So what do you say to the people who are sitting at home right now, maybe feeling discouraged? You've done so much work to help organize. What do you have to say to those people?
I mean, again, this campaign is about, more than one person, but it's also about more than, thank you. It's about more than just one night. So, when you knock doors every single day, you don't see things change overnight. So this is something that to have entrenched interest means that they're entrenched for a reason. There's money, there's people, there's, media. Like, there are a lot of interests that we're going to have to fight. And so we can't expect this to be an overnight thing. And so for Vice President Biden to lose the first 3 states, win South Carolina, and then be the front runner means that this race can change just like that. So I would say if you're out there, you're supporting the senator, the state hasn't gone yet, keep on knocking doors.
Speak on the misinformation that's out there. Oh, bless you again. There's one right there. Here, I'll get you one. It's just wet from the water. Okay, 1 second here. Got. Yeah, we're good.
Sorry, people.
It's okay.
I'm better. Not gonna happen again.
Great. Okay, so there's a lot of misinformation out there about Joe Biden. We spoke to some older black voters yesterday. We went to Flint, and they were unaware that Joe Biden had lied about participating in civil rights sit-ins, had lied about being arrested, meeting Nelson Mandela in South Africa. They were shocked and alarmed and just weren't told. So speak on kind of the lack of media truth out there about Joe Biden and his record.
I mean, we need more voices to shed light on people's record. I think this Sanders campaign is focused purely on the issues, and that's something I'm excited to see. We don't see that often, but we're going to have to make sure that the issues are out there more and more.
Absolutely. Any last words you have for the audience at home?
If you're out there, you haven't, your state hasn't voted yet, keep on knocking doors. This is far from over, and we need people to organize and fight to win. So.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sorry I made you sneeze so much.
Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna say goodbye to you because I may sneeze again. But thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Oh. Thanks again. Okay, so we have some news coming in from Jordan. According to a CNN analyst, Bloomberg and Warren campaigns have been critical to Biden's success in Michigan, specifically Oakland County. So I am interested in hearing more news on that. Also, Andrew Yang. So Yang Gang, I have bad news for you. Andrew Yang just endorsed Biden on CNN. The headline, the chyron right now on CNN is Andrew Yang endorses Joe Biden for president. So hashtag Yang Gang, who came after us so much for saying that he was being disingenuous, that he wasn't a true progressive, that he is essentially a libertarian tech bro. That's what he is. That's what he's always been. And it's unfortunate. It's sad for a lot of people out there. It's really upsetting for a lot of people that that Andrew Yang has endorsed Joe Biden. So we also have, yeah, just 1 second and then you can. Come on over. 1 second, can you get? Yeah, you can. Just hold on 1 second, then you can. So Michigan exit polls we have coming in. Biden, 73% of voters 65 and over. Not a surprise. This one is way bigger than I thought it would be. Bernie Sanders won the support. According to exit polls, 82% of voters under 30 voted for Bernie Sanders. That's 82% of voters under 30 voted for Bernie Sanders. Okay, so you were getting all excited over there. What are you so passionate about right now?
Andrew Yang just endorsed Biden. They are all in it. This is absolute bullshit. I mean, he has already said, he's already spoken positively of Bernie. He knows this. I am so upset. I mean, it just shows how powerful the elites are and the people in power, that they're going to sway even Andrew Yang. This is absolutely ridiculous because we know from past history that Yang liked Bernie. I'm sorry, I just smashed your thing. I'm so upset. It's absolute chaos, bullshit, and it just shows how it's completely rigged against Bernie. They will do anything. I want to know what they promised Yang. I want to know what they promised Yang because they know damn well that Yang originally was all for Bernie.
So you believe that Yang was always progressive because so I just gave my take on it, and my take was that he's always been a libertarian tech bro and not truly progressive, but you think that he was.
Okay, so Sanders is more independent, right? So that would actually be more in line with Yang, in my opinion. So yes, and he's said things very positively about Bernie. So yeah, absolutely, I think Yang was for Bernie. And so I really wonder what goes on. You know, these
But could he have been for Bernie to get votes and not in real life? Like we just saw.
I don't think so because I think he was very authentic. I really do. I liked Andrew Yang. I loved his whole universal basic income. I like that a lot, and that's much more in line with Bernie Sanders versus the other establishment Democrats. So yeah, I really believe that, and I wonder what he was promised. I really do, because I don't believe for 1 second that he just endorsed Bernie or Biden, because he really believed that, not for 1 second.
Well, you talked about the backroom deals. We've had a coalescence of the Democratic establishment and now Andrew Yang, who is outside of the Democratic establishment, coming together to support Biden. So what do you kind of suspect is going on?
I think that they're promised. I think that they're promised cabinet positions. That's what I think. He's already talked about that. Biden was already talking about Bloomberg having a cabinet position. I'm sure that he was promised something, some kind of position, some kind of power. That's what I think.
Any other thoughts that you have on Yang? I know you're really fired up, really upset.
I'm very disheartened. I'm very sad. I'm very upset that he would be so swayed. I really am. That he would be so coerced. I don't know what was said, but I know that he was originally in the Bernie Sanders camp. So something had to have been done or said.
Does it kind of make you lose hope in politics, or does the Bernie wing still give you hope?
Absolutely, 100%. Because you know what? Our young people, you know what? These people who are in power will be gone. And the fact of the matter is, our young people are much worse off than their parents. I have a 31-year-old daughter who did everything she was supposed to do. She's a nurse. She went to school. She has debt. She can't buy a house. Do you really think she's going to vote establishment Democrat? No. And she's just coming into power, coming into her age. You know what? The older people are going to die off, and the younger people that have been screwed by the system will eventually take power. So even though it may not be this year, and it might be 10 years, but eventually they're going to be the ones who are choking on the carbon toxins, okay? And then they are going to eventually take over. And I have to believe that they are going to change our whole political landscape when they are the ones that are in power.
Any last words that you want to say about this topic or anything else that you're feeling right now? I know there are a lot of feelings. Everyone in this room is either disheartened or pumped up or disappointed.
Look at independent news. People, please look at the independent news networks. They are the only ones that are telling you the truth.
Thank you again. And come on, if you get any more excitements or any more thoughts, just come on over and send other people over if they have thoughts. Thank you. Okay, so a lot of disappointments and sadness about Andrew Yang endorsing Joe Biden. I am not surprised at all, but it is very unfortunate for a lot of people who believed in Andrew Yang for sure. Let me refresh the chat and see what's going on here. We have been streaming for over an hour and a half. Let me see if I missed super chats. Keep those super chats coming. They help so much at any amount. Statuscoup.com/support-SC is another way you can support us. We need to get Jordan to Ohio. Right now, we only have the funding through Michigan. So we need to get Jordan to Ohio on the ground. It is such a crucial primary state, and it is also a crucial general election state. We need a Democrat to take Ohio. It is crucial. Let's get Jordan on the ground there. Keep the super chats coming. As I said, keep smashing the like button. Keep sharing as much as possible. Let's see here. People are saying oh boy, I won't repeat that. Django Thunders. I was about to say something not so PC on the stream. So let me see if Washington Post has updated their exit polls here. Okay, so this is according to Washington Post exit polls. Joe Biden wins among those who oppose changing to single government healthcare plan. No surprise there, especially since he said he would veto such a thing. He wins among those who are moderate or conservative. Top issues are race relations. Democrats, women are voting for him. Those who support changing to a single government health plan support Bernie. No surprise there. Ages 18 to 29 support Bernie. No surprise there. Very liberal supports Bernie. And prefers a candidate who agrees with you on the issues. Support Bernie for sure. I wish I could show you the screen, which would be much, much better. Ty, do you want to grab a couple more people? Grab a couple more. Okay. I want to fill you in on the results here. We have more results from the New York Times. Biden has won Michigan, Mississippi, and Missouri. We have 43% reporting in for Michigan. We have 41% reporting in for Mississippi, and we have 32% reporting in for Missouri. Of course, Michigan has 125 delegates up for grabs. Mississippi has 36 delegates up for grabs, and Missouri has 68 delegates up for grabs. So, March 10 delegates, just the delegates. So I'm only talking about the delegates that were up for grabs today. Joe Biden has won 101 delegates. Bernie Sanders has won 44 delegates. There are still a lot that have yet to be allocated. We still are waiting for results from North Dakota, and we are still waiting for results from Idaho, and we are still waiting for results from Washington State. So in total delegates, Joe Biden has 771 delegates. So this is all the races that have happened so far. And Bernie Sanders has 618 total delegates. Ty is getting me some more people to interview. It's really hard to navigate in here, which is interesting because it's kind of a smallish room. So we weren't 100% sure of how many people were going to come, but it has really filled up here in Detroit, Michigan. Hi, my name's Jen. What's your name?
Zach.
Hi, Zach. So first of all, I'll ask what brought you to this party, this Bernie Sanders party. Talk policy.
So personally, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and so Bernie's healthcare policy has consistently been the only one that really appealed to me. As someone who constantly has to make the hundreds of dollars payments every month just to keep alive. You take that and you take his minimum wage policies in terms of keeping the people in my family who work part-time jobs or maybe work multiple jobs just to make ends meet, and to me it just makes sense that he's the candidate to support.
So obviously we now know that he did not win Michigan. How does that make you feel?
Pretty disappointed, especially back in 2016. Michigan was not really a turning point because we know how it ended up, but a big monument towards his appeal to the working class, to the people who are struggling day to day. So seeing Michigan turn out this way it's disappointing. I'm still a little optimistic about him overall for that same reason, that he appeals to the working class folks. I guess at this point it's mainly seeing how we can maybe recalibrate the campaign around the voters in the remaining states to show, hey, I'm fighting for you. I am making the policies for you, not for electability, but for the actual voters, for the people who are on the streets fighting to make it past another day.
What do you think about the fact that the Democratic establishment has coalesced around Joe Biden, and now we have Andrew Yang, who is not part of the Democratic establishment, although maybe he is at this point, has endorsed Joe Biden?
The Yang endorsement, so I have two feelings about it. I agree, Yang actually was not part of the establishment. He came with a pretty radical new policy, which, well, I maybe don't agree helped the working class as much, was at least something that spoke to the average voter. Seeing him endorse Sanders, I see more of a cynic, or endorse Biden, I'm sorry. See as more of a cynical play towards, hey, all the news cameras are on me and I want to keep my name in play for the future election cycles. Which I respect to a degree. It is cynical, but, you know. But of course the establishment was always going to coalesce around Biden. Sanders is not really in line with what a lot of the Democratic establishment wants, which is kind of same old, but maybe paying lip service to the working class. It's always been, hey, what can we do to keep the working class voting for us while also making sure we don't rock the boat too much? So it's not surprising. It is, again, maybe a little disappointing, but from Andrew Yang, he's young. His career is just starting, so I understand why he's doing this.
What do you think? Where should we go from here? If you're talking to the people at home, where should they go from here as far as maybe their state hasn't voted yet? Maybe they're still volunteering for Bernie. What do you think?
Honestly, we have to keep showing how deep and sincere the support in Bernie is. Even if he loses this primary again, showing that it wasn't his policies that caused him to lose votes, showing that it wasn't his ideals and his constant support for the civil rights, but in fact, it was the candidate himself that kept you going, so that regardless of how this election turns out, knowing that you are a reliable member of the progressive movement, so that Bernie's movement stays alive is the most important.
Makes a lot of sense, and I think any last words do you have for the people at home, other than that?
I would say there was a speech given earlier today that I think really spoke to a lot of us here in the room. You are somebody. Your voice matters. You shouldn't... We're going to keep having disappointing evenings like this, even if things turn around and things start looking really great, really looking up for us. We have to start embracing those moments where we see the positive change happen and know that the arc of history is on the side of people who want lives better for everyone, not just lives better for who they know. Just hold on to that. We're going to keep having disappointing nights no matter what happens. Keep your eyes on the long term.
Wonderful advice. Thank you so, so much. Really great. Thank you. And nice to meet you. So nice to meet you. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Apparently we have someone who looks like Nina Turner coming up in a little bit here. And then after that, I'm going to call Jordan and have his take on everything that's going on here. My internet keeps going out. Keep smashing that like button. Keep sharing this stream. We need your help to get the word out. We're being massively suppressed by YouTube. So please, please share this stream. Hit that like button. It is the thumbs up button that's right underneath this video. If you are on mobile, just quickly close out the live chat and you'll see the thumbs up button appear. Keep joining. We are currently at, let me reload. We are currently at 1,804 members. So please keep joining. We need to reach 100 additional members so that Jordan can go to Ohio. I'm sure you've heard by now if you've been watching this stream. He's no longer going to Arizona because of the coronavirus. They have shut off press from the Democratic debate. They've also taken away the audience, so there will be no audience for the debate. So that will be quite interesting. I don't know if Ty is... Hi, my name is Jen. What's your name?
Lena.
So nice to meet you. So Lena, what brought you out here tonight in the first place to this Bernie Sanders results watch party?
Well, I was a volunteer at the Dearborn Field office, and I was, I knocked something like 300 to 500 doors, and I'm in town, so, But if you're asking me what brought me to volunteer for Sanders, it's because I think he's the last shot we have at some semblance of justice in this country before we have to resort to means that are beyond the electoral system. Protests, unionizing efforts, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So speaking specifically about Bernie Sanders' policies, what impacts you the most? Maybe it's Medicare for all, or the Green New Deal, or free public college.
I mean, if you're asking me what impacts me most...
You or the people you love.
It's an equal split between Medicare and foreign policy. I grew up in Palestine. I know what it's like to live under fascism, I know what it's like to be colonized. Fundamentally, American foreign policy is imperialist. It's oppressive. It violates the sovereignty and will of the peoples of the rest of the world. So what else are we meant to do,
So you feel like Bernie Sanders is your only hope? Would that be accurate?
He's a push in the right direction, but in my opinion, he's a compromise,
What would you like to see from him differently?
I would like to see him go meaner, I feel as if he needs to be more cutthroat. That's what I heard the most when I was talking out to voters. They want him to be meaner. They think he's going to get slammed against Trump, which I disagree with, but it would still help in the nomination.
So there's a debate coming up on Sunday. Do you think that he will go in against Joe Biden more than he has so far?
No, sadly, but he might. I feel as if during the debate, Joe Biden will sort of make the case against him for us, but we'll see.
So what do you think about, so being Palestinian, what do you think about Bernie Sanders' policy when it relates to Palestine and Israel?
I feel as if it's not nearly enough, but it is a formative step in a direction that will lead us to justice.
How are you feeling? Okay, so here's the tough question. How are you feeling now after Bernie Sanders lost Michigan?
Well, the left needs to prepare to do stuff beyond this election, beyond this nomination. And I'm not talking preparing for 2024. I'm talking preparing to fight for justice no matter what it takes.
What would that look like? Maybe a yellow vest movement or...
I think the Gilets Jaunes are a good model, but fundamentally, U.S. radicalism is not at the level that the French have achieved. And what I think is that we're going to have to formulate a new approach. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but we'll see over the next few years.
What do you have, and I've been asking this question of everyone, what do you have to say to the people who are at home? You have fought so hard personally for Bernie Sanders, knocking on so many doors. What about the people who have not voted yet, are maybe thinking about volunteering, are volunteering? What do you have to say?
Do it, but don't place your hopes in it. Think about what happens beyond this. Obviously, Joe Biden, if he gets the nomination, which is still a question, he's going to lose. So think about what we can do to resist fascism and to resist liberal capitalism beyond Bernie Sanders. This is a movement. There's more to it than one man. Bernie Sanders is a vessel through which we speak.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's something that people tend to put their politicians up on pedestals. But what you're speaking of is a wider movement, a wider purpose.
The Democratic Party has long focused on an identity politic where what makes a politician good is what minority groups they represent rather than who their policies will impact. Bernie Sanders represents a move in the opposite direction, which I feel is a positive change, and I think we're going to see more of that.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any last things to say, go for it.
Get ready. Prepare yourself, prepare your family, whatever you need to do.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It was so great to meet you.
It was so great to meet you too.
Thank you. Okay, I think Ty is grabbing someone else. I am not sure. Oops. Please keep liking this video and sharing this video and doing everything that you can to help get the word out about status quo. Hi. You do look like Nina. Hi, my name.
Oh my God.
My name is Jen. What's your name?
My name is Sadie.
It's so nice to meet you, Sadie. So what brought you here to the Bernie Sanders Results Watch Party?
I came to watch the results.
Of course. But speaking about policy, what policies make you support Bernie Sanders?
Well, I was really interested about the idea that he had to decide to look at what we're going to do about immigration. So I am an immigrant, right? I live in a state that is at the border. I live in a city that is 5 minutes away from Canada. I live in a community that have seen more than 200% jump in enforcement, in deportation, in family separation. Personally, last summer, I know 76 people personally in my community that was deported. So being able to talk with a candidate that is seriously looking at what can we do to change this? What can we do to create more sensible policies? That was a game changer. So of course, education. I owe so much money, I don't think I'm going to be able to ever afford my daughter, who is 14 today, going to college, having access to healthcare. So there are things that actually we like, okay, yeah. You know, when you are part of the community that have to hold 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, his message was very, inspiring. And after living under the last 4 years under this administration, I'm Muslim, the Muslim ban happened, right? In the 12 countries that was banned, 11 of them are Muslim majority, 6 of them are from Africa. I'm an African. This president called us from shithole countries, so there is a lot that have happened in the last 4 years that I could not have sit in the sideline and watch. Yeah.
Wow, absolutely incredible and completely understandable how passionate you are. So how does it make you feel that now we know that Bernie Sanders has not won Michigan?
You know? How do you know? I don't know. I'm going to wait till we finish looking at all the ballots and stuff like that to really see what the numbers look like. You know, we might well have lost, but I'm really want to see how thin the margin is. And we're going to take a good night's sleep. And when we wake up tomorrow, we'll have to see where we're going. How do we move forward? I mean, it's going to have to do the same mental work we did when we wake up after Trump won. And we'll see.
Did you volunteer for Bernie, or what was your experience before this?
Yes, we knocked at doors. Have been knocking at doors since the beginning. Make calls, send text messages. Yeah, every weekend, walk the turf, call to people, and yeah.
So there are a lot of people sitting at home watching right now, maybe feeling despondent. What do you think that they should do?
I mean, we still have to get up in the morning and do what we have to do, especially here in Michigan and from Detroit. You know you cannot sit at home and just cry your eyes out. No, because your bills are waiting for you, right? People still have to go see their children at the hospital. People still don't have access to water. So we have a lot of issues in this city that we have not handled yet. So we are going to get up tomorrow as true Detroiters and hit the road again. There is no change in that, that's for sure. So we're going to get up tomorrow and grind. So what are we doing?
I think that's super inspiring to a lot of people out there. Do you have anything else that you want to tell the people at home? Any last thoughts you want to leave us with?
I mean, fight your fight, because this is what it is. Don't let it to anybody else to do it for you. Whatever it is, make it happen. If we want this society to change, we need to be part of it.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate you. I want to give you a message from Jordan. Jordan says, Bernie is not dropping out, and neither are we. We are going to keep reporting. We are going to keep doing what we do. statuscoup.com/join. Don't get despondent. You have heard, so you've noticed that I have asked every single person here, what do we do next? What do the people at home need to know if they are feeling down or despondent? I'm asking that question for a specific reason. First of all, because I think it's important to take the temperature of these Bernie Sanders supporters and how they're feeling, but also because the people in this room are volunteers. They've been canvassing, they've been phone banking, they've been text banking, they have been tabling, they've been doing everything they can to help get Bernie Sanders elected. So I think that it's really inspiring for a lot of people at home to maybe hear what others are doing, how these people are still fighting. Bernie Sanders is still fighting, no matter what, no matter that Michigan is lost. And we actually just have some news coming in here that Joe Biden will speak soon. So please continue to fund us so we can get out there in Ohio. This is not over. statuscoup.com/join. You can also, if you're already a member, you can support our in-field reporting at statuscoup.com/supportsc. So, Jordan, I'm going to call you. I'm not going to be able to hear you probably, but I'm going to put you on. 1 second, guys. 1 second here. Let's get Jordan on. Hey, Jordan, I'm going to put you on. I'm not going to be able to hear you, but the audience will. Hold on. All right, Ty, Jordan is on, so make sure they can hear him. All right, Jordan, go ahead and talk.
Yeah, so I always keep it real, so obviously this is a devastating result. It should be said that Washington State, Idaho, and North Dakota, the results have not come in. Washington State might be a state that Bernie Sanders actually wins, so look out for that. But obviously, regardless of what happens in Washington State, Idaho, and North Dakota, Bernie losing Michigan is a devastating result, as is Mississippi and these other states. We can't sugarcoat that. I think that Bernie, and I've expressed it over years, and I've expressed it over the months, that, I think Bernie Sanders, unfortunately, the great part about Bernie Sanders is his humanity, his generosity, his ability, his desire to want to be positive and run on the issues. I also think it's pretty much his biggest political weakness. I think that you cannot defeat the entrenched forces, not only of the Democratic Party, but corporate America. I mean, what you see on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, social media, it is the biggest super PAC in American history. And I think that Bernie Sanders fundamentally made a decision long ago to not go quite to the level that Trump went. What I mean by that is not be racist or any of that, but Trump did not pull punches. Trump called them all corrupt. Trump, name names, and people respond to that. People respond not only to somebody fighting on the issues, but somebody fighting power. And I think that Bernie, too often, with Joe's a nice guy, Joe's my friend, I think Joe would win. I think Joe could beat Trump. Frankly, to me, it was absolutely political malpractice of his campaign to not go after Joe Biden for lying about his civil rights record. I know for a fact from people in the campaign I've spoken with, advisors urged Bernie Sanders to go after Joe Biden on his lies over civil rights. He declined to do that. That's Bernie Sanders. That's on Bernie Sanders. So there are mistakes that Bernie Sanders has made. With that said, when they tell you it's not rigged, it is rigged. I mean, literally, if not for Barack Obama in the background, forcing Pete Buttigieg to drop out, forcing Amy Klobuchar to drop out. Don't think Elizabeth Warren not endorsing. Do not think that has nothing to do with Obama and other establishment Democrats. All of this, as Noam Chomsky brilliantly exposed, it's all about manufacturing consent. Most Americans are not as plugged in as you and I. Most Americans are not watching internet political news. Most Americans are not even watching CNN and MSNBC all day. They have no idea about Joe Biden's true record. They have no idea about who he's taking money from. They just know the branding and the messaging they see in those brief moments that they watch the news, in between working 2 jobs, in between taking care of their kids. So, to me, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think it's a real stretch to think that Bernie Sanders could still win the nomination. I don't know if that would happen. I don't think that's going to happen. However, I will say there's a wild card, and there's a wild card that you don't often have in elections. On Sunday, there is a one-on-one debate, unless Tom Perez and the GNC just decide to cancel it, which is always an option. There's a one-on-one debate between Bernie Sanders and, frankly, I'll say it, somebody who is clearly having cognitive issues. Joe Biden has been largely benefited by the fact that he had 8, 9, and other candidates on that stage. It really covered for his obvious struggle. Over half the country has not voted yet. Let me repeat that. Over half the country has not voted yet. It is a really, really long climb. It's very, very hard to believe Bernie Sanders can come back. But there is a chance on Sunday. For an hour and a half, Joe Biden's going to have to speak in full sentences. Joe Biden's going to have to, he's going to have to be mentally sharp, and he's not going to have other candidates to cover for him. And people are very visual. If Joe Biden has a much larger stumble than we've seen so far, people are going to see that. So I do think the debate this Sunday matters. We were looking forward to going. If you came late, the Democratic National Committee, by the way, Bernie Sanders' campaign agreed to this, Joe Biden's campaign agreed to this, canceled the live audience. They also canceled the spin room. They don't have press coming because of the coronavirus. As much as I wanted to be there and we got credentials, I actually think it's the right decision considering, coronavirus is pretty much spreading all over the country now, which is another topic. So I'll tell our viewers, status quo, and Jen and I have always said this, our business is not to elect Bernie Sanders. As much as Jen and I personally like and love Bernie, and we've never hit it, our business model, our purpose is not about one man. It's not about one primary night. It's not about one election night. It's not about one decade. It's about our DNA. It's about a principle, and that is giving the microphone back to people that have been drowned out by oligarchs, plutocrats, and corporate America. It's about countering the corporate propaganda that, frankly, Russia does not have anything on the election interference of MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, and all of them combined. Russian trolls and bots have no impact compared to the interference we have seen. So Jen and I, and thank you, Jim, 1,804 members. I know we're probably not going to get a lot of signups tonight. I know a lot of people are discouraged. I know a lot of people are ready to revolt and yellow vest, them exit. I understand people probably aren't going to sign up to join us tonight. But what I will tell you is this. We're not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. We're not going to stop covering Bernie Sanders' campaign for as long as it goes. We're not going to stop covering the progressive movement. We are not. Even if Joe Biden wins his nomination, we are not going to go to sleep. We will cover Joe Biden critically as we would Donald Trump. We're not seasonal progressives. We're not going to just turn the cheek and say, oh, Joe Biden's a great guy. Forget about those Wall Street donations. Forget about that fracking. Forget about the civil rights laws. Forget about that he just said he's going to veto Medicare for all. But we will also report on Donald Trump. But the bottom line is this. If you want real reporting on the ground, I think what these elections are showing you, the only way to change political sentiment in this country, the only way, it's not just knocking on doors, it's not just organizing, it's not just big rallies, it's not just Bernie Sanders. The only true way to change political sentiment in this country is to wake more people up. It's to break through the CNN bubble, the MSNBC bubble, the New York Times bubble, the Washington Post bubble. I'm not blaming all older people because a lot of our viewers and a lot of progressives are older. But the facts are, Joe Biden is winning. Joe Biden, if he becomes the nominee, is winning because of people over the age of 50. That's the facts. That's why Hillary Clinton won, because of people over the age of 50, and because of a lot of African Americans, and I mean this in a totally straight up way, have been misinformed by the media, particularly older African Americans. The gaslighting that has gone on in this campaign, the Bernie bros, the mean tweets. Joe Biden literally threatened to slap a union man in the face today. He told his female staffer to shush twice. The media cheered that on while they had been hyperventilating about tweeters online. So as I wrap this up, and thank you, Jen, who's been working so hard the last few days. Thank you, Ty, behind the camera. As I wrap this up, I will tell viewers how Wall Street wants you, how the fossil fuel industry wants you, how Big Pharma wants you, how big real estate wants you, how Silicon Valley wants you, how Tom Perez wants you, how Andrew Yang, who I told you from the beginning was a tech pro-libertarian, wants you, how Elizabeth Warren wants you, how all these people want you. It's to give up, to go to sleep, and leave it to them to keep the money flowing. So it's up to you. If you want to say sayonara, If you want to go back to sleep, if you want to say screw it, it's rigged, it's never going to change, then you do that. But we are not going to do that. Status quo is not going to do that. We exist for much bigger purposes than Bernie or AOC. We exist to give real people, working people, vulnerable people, minorities, the people who have long been erased from the conversation, from the media, we exist to give those people a voice. And we're not going to stop. I don't know what Bernie's going to do. I don't know what the full results. Remember, Washington State hasn't come in. Idaho hasn't come in. North Dakota hasn't come in. But there's a debate on Sunday, and if I know anything about Bernie Sanders, he ain't dropping out before that debate. If I know anything about Bernie Sanders, it would not shock me if he stays in this for a while longer. But status quo is not going to stop. We will be real. We do not have funding right now to go on the 17th to any of the primary states. The 3 states we were looking at is Ohio, Arizona, and Florida. We are leaning towards Ohio. We just don't have the funding. We've spent $15,000 between Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, California, and now Michigan. So if you want us on the ground, win, lose, or not, you have $5 a month. That's all we're asking. Sign up today. Our goal is to hit 2,000 members this month. We are now 96 members away. I understand if you don't sign up today, there's a lot of depressed people, disappointed people. But I'm telling you something, and I think, Jen, when I hang up, I want to know what you think. The majority of people voting for Joe Biden are not voting for Joe Biden because they are not progressive. Medicare for all has been, every state has favored Medicare for all that has voted. Every state has favored Medicare for all that has voted. The majority of people that have voted for Joe Biden have no idea about Joe Biden's record. The majority of people that have voted for Joe Biden have no idea that he's, particularly black people, I'm sure Ty would say this, do not know that he lied about joining in civil rights cities. Do not know that he literally was working with segregationists in the 1970s to pass anti-busing legislation. Do not know that he lied about being arrested in South Africa during apartheid. Do not know that he lied about Nelson Mandela thanking him. The biggest election interference, the biggest rigging is not Russia. It ain't the Bernie Bros. It ain't even the Democratic Party. It's media. And if you don't listen, if it's not status quo, if you want to give your hard-earned money elsewhere, that's fine too. But support independent media. But I will say humbly, have you seen CNN, MSNBC, frankly, other outlets that claim to be independent? Have you seen them in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, California, Michigan, South Bend, Indiana, went 15 times? I don't think so. So sign up, statusquo.com/join, and we'll keep reporting, and I will be live with a recap of all of this tomorrow.
Okay, I hope you guys could hear Jordan because I sure couldn't. But I'm sure he told you some awesome things, including to join Status Quo as a member. Statusquo.com/join. It's totally worth it. Behind the scenes content, awesome stuff. All right, come on over. You can come around the whole. All right, so you're back. What do you have to say?
I just have one more thing to say. Okay, people are under the fallacy that there are 2 parties, the Democrats versus the Republicans, but then you have Pelosi on stage ripping up Trump's speeches and then voting in line with Trump. You know, in reality, you have the donor class and you have versus the working class and the middle class. That's all I really wanted to say.
Okay. I think a very valid and important point for sure. You sure there's nothing else you want to say? We like having you on. It's so fun.
Well, just people become informed. You know, they really need to read. They really need to see how their representatives vote. Who do they vote along with? Are they with you or they're against you? There was a study that was done that shows that for the last, I think it was 30 years or 50 years, that 83% of the legislation that's passed only benefits the top 1%. So If they think that their representatives and the people that are supposed to be representing are for them, no, they are for their donors. And throughout history, our politicians have warned, years ago, Teddy Roosevelt, that corporations and businesses had no business in politics. And right now, there was also a study done that showed that we are, by definition, an oligarchy. We are ruled by the wealthy class. People are under the misconception that they have power, that they have some kind of control. But this just goes to show what happened today just shows that they're being manipulated. And they really need to look into what is really happening.
Absolutely. Thank you again for popping on. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good stuff. All right, guys. It is starting to clear out here. This event actually ends soon, and our car only had parking up until a little bit ago. So I'm actually going to sign off. We will keep doing some behind-the-scenes content, so if you want the scoop, go to statuscoup.com/join, and you will get behind-the-scenes videos, behind-the-scenes photos, all kinds of amazing content. Before I officially sign off, let me take a look at the chat here. We've been live for 2 hours. Apparently my hair looks crazy, but that's okay. Let's see, any super chats I missed? No. Any quick questions? Anat is urging people to join. Welcome, new member Michael. I don't remember if I already said that, but welcome, new member Michael. We're so happy to have you. Yay, Michael. Love you, Michael. Keep joining, guys. Statuscoup.com/join. We are just 95 members to 1,900 members. Absolutely incredible. Love all of you. Luke Shaw, no, I'm going to push back on that. Luke Shaw says signing off equals giving up. No, what am I giving up on? I've been live for 2 hours, man. Give me a break. No, absolutely not giving up. The fact is that we have flights tomorrow. We have a car to get back to, and the party is officially wrapping up. So, we do tend to shut things down here at Status Coup. We tend to stay to the very, very last minute. So I definitely urge you to, if you want more content to that person, join for just statuscoup.com/join, because right after this, I'm going to film a behind the scenes for you. So please join statuscoup.com/join. Keep it up. Anything else? All right, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who joined. Thank you so much for the incredible super chats. Okay. Pathan NL says, Jen, can you give all the results before you go? I can. The short thing is Biden wins Michigan, Missouri, Mississippi, and we're waiting on results from the other states. I don't actually have, let me see which one I have pulled up here. I have the New York Times open, but I closed it. Here we go. Okay, so results just for you. We actually have 10% of results in from North Dakota. Bernie Sanders is ahead by 13 points. So that one has not been declared yet. There are 14 delegates up for grabs. Missouri, 63% of the results are in. 68 delegates, Biden won. Mississippi, Biden won. 36 delegates up for grabs. 72% of the vote is in. Michigan, Biden won. There are 125 delegates up for grabs, and 54% of results are in. And when I say the number of delegates that are up for grabs, I do not mean that just because Biden won, he gets all of those delegates. That's not how it works at all. So it really matters for the full results to come in to see what the delegate shakedown will be. So those are the results. We're still waiting for Idaho. We're still waiting for Washington. Polls closed at 11 p.m. Eastern time, so we should get those results in soon. The party ends before then, and the place we're in closes before then. So we will bring you those results in a stream tomorrow, I am sure. Andy P, $5 in the super chat. Jen, I love your Black Sabbath shirt. So I mentioned this earlier, but an amazing Flint resident made it and gave it to me yesterday. So I had to wear it today in honor of Flint. Ty got one as well. He got an AC/DC shirt, and these were actual events that happened. This one was in 1992 at the Capitol Theater in Flint. So very, very cool. I won't name that Flint resident, and just in case they don't want me to, but I really, really appreciate it. We love Flint. We went to Flint twice on this trip. We have big, big news coming out about Flint soon. We have a huge story coming out in a major outlet to do with Flint. So it is honestly the biggest scandal I've ever heard of, and certainly ever worked on journalistically. So join us, statuscoup.com/join. If you're already a member and want to support us, statuscoup.com/support-SC. Leave super chats. Go to GoFundMe, gofundme.com/status-coup-news. Okay, I am ready to sign off. My throat is sore, but I love you guys. You guys are all absolutely incredible and amazing. All right, bye-bye.